Okay, we're gonna do a video of a video that I made and released yesterday, and we've got Denise here with us, and she has done a lot of riding on autopilot with me in my vehicle, and I've got 50,000 miles in the vehicle. Most of that is autopilot, so probably at least 40,000 miles of autopilot driving, I'd say. And she's been in the Model X a lot and has seen how it works. So I want her to watch this video and give her commentary on whether she thinks what I'm saying is correct. So we'll play the video, and we'll get to hear what Denise has to say.
Okay, everybody, as I'm sure you are aware, there was a horrific crash last week where a Tesla Model X crashed directly into an immovable concrete barrier and burst into flames afterwards, after being hit by two other cars. The driver died. It was a mess. They say autopilot was on, and it was engaged just before the crash, and the driver did not do anything to stop it. If you want to have any more information about all this stuff, I got plenty of videos on that, but I'm trying to make this quick. I'm trying to make this a quick video where you can see the actual road of where this crash happened. This is Highway 101. The whole thing here is Highway 101, and this left lane is the lane that they were taking to get off the expressway onto the, I think, like the carpool lane, something like that. And you can see there's differences in pavement here which may have contributed. And this lane here on the right, these two lanes will split and be a concrete barrier will be placed in between them, which is where the SUV crashed. So I want you to see how this was and how autopilot may have reacted to it. We're just kind of, you know, making this stuff up here, but I do believe this is fairly accurate description of what happened. Okay, you move forward. As we're moving forward, you see that the line becomes solid. It was dotted in the center. It becomes solid, and you can see there are two white lines that split on either side. Now, this is a potential factor here with the pavement being different. Autopilot could recognize it as a lane, but we're going to make the assumption here, I don't like to make any assumptions, that autopilot recognizes this as an actual lane. The yellow line on the left and the white line on the right. And let's move forward just a little bit in the picture. Okay, you can see solid white now. Now, we're figuring that this Model X is going on the carpool lane side, which is the left lane. Solid line, should be clear what lane they're in. But here comes the problem. Watch carefully. Watch the space in between the two lanes increase. Okay, right here. See if I can zoom in on that. You see my finger? This space is starting to open up. And when it opens up, that could be very ambiguous to the computer system that's controlling autopilot. I mean, you can see clearly here that there's a sign here that you go on the main road to the right, or you go over to the left, and there's nothing in between. But the computer, the autopilot system, especially if it was turned on late, may have thought that that was part of the road. Now let's see. I'll move slowly forward.
It might have been confused by this dark line too.
You notice this difference in pavement?
Yeah.
Well, it could easily think that this is a lane, and this is a lane, the line on the right, which would mean that this is a lane opening up right here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't recognize this path as a lane. It would recognize this path as a lane. There's no cars in it. Cars are hugging that white lane, and there's a difference in pavement here. You see that? So the computer, instead of thinking this is the path to take, may think this is the path to take, and this path leads directly to the barrier. Watch as we roll a little more video. Okay? Now, again, let's figure that instead of the computer recognizing that this is the path to take, it's recognizing this is the path to take. You see, because it's almost like another lane right beside cars which are staying in their lane. So it's going to think this is the path to take. Again, we're guessing, but I have a feeling this is what happened. Again, as we approach, we see it again. Well, it's going to become clearer, I guess, to the computer that this is the path to take. Well, it should be going over here. It's not. It's going here.
I would think this is where you would hear autopilot go boop boop, like it, and you have to take over.
Forward, if it's on that area hugging those cars, okay? And a lot of times the logic in these autopilot systems is designed
unless
to
it's really sure that this middle area over here.
You see cars in the display, Well,
this,
then this
if
must
it's
be the
really
next
sure that this
lane,
is a lane,
right?
it's not going to
Not
alert them to do
necessarily
anything.
This, but this.
I don't see how it would
And
think that's a
as
lane
we
at this point.
travel
I
a
think
little bit further,
autopilot
this
would have went
space-
off.
Well,
opens
right
up
here,
even
this looks like a
wider,
line.
right?
That looks like a
It used
line.
to be small, but now it's wide enough to fit a
See?
car in there.
Look how
Or
wide
even-
it is.
So it may not have been short first, but now maybe it's definitely shore, or it thinks it's shore. But that's a deadly mistake.
And it's
because if it
following
was
these
shore
cars
this
over here
way,
on the right because they're
you can
all,
see how
in
it got
the lane
off
right
of
beside it.
here. It's now shore this way, and that is a horrible mistake because, as you see, as we get a little closer, well, that may look like a lane. Autopilot may be interpreting that as a lane, but this is the real lane, and this lane ends with this immovable concrete barrier all of a sudden grinding that Model X to a complete halt, especially because the crash attenuator was missing, a lot of that was missing. Instead of there being barrels of sand, water, or steel in the way to crush, there was almost nothing. Let's see.
That's scary looking.
Okay, wow. So you see, if the autopilot was in this lane, thinking this is the lane, and why, you just saw me explain as to why you would think, why the system might think this is a lane. It's not going to go here, it's not going to go there, it's going to hug those cars, it's going to go right
But usually it stops.
to that barrier. You see
Autopilot
it's
stops
clearly a
before
barrier
you
right
hit an
now.
obstacle.
Yeah, but listen to what I'm going to say here.
Even in this picture, you can see it's only got
Listen to
a
what
tiny
they
bit of
remember the
steel,
video we made
a couple
recently.
feet, and then solid concrete
It may not
behind that.
recognize it as anything.
And it would have been going
Look at the
full
size
speed
of that compared to the
and
cars.
just hit that. And see, this is
It's
low.
low.
Look at the size
Yeah,
of these
it's
cars.
not very big.
And if
That's
you've seen
true.
some of my videos too, where I've gone in there and tried to have a pedestrian crash test dummy, a lot of times it didn't even recognize that. And this is small. This is not like a car in the road, right? This is more like I don't even know what. It might recognize it just as a small barrel or a part of a tree or something that fell in the road, not something that it has to avoid because of a massive collision. Because it's not going to move. This stuff, it's straight barrier, concrete behind it. It's not going to move at all. That's the problem. And that's what caused the severity of the crash. So you can see that.
So what do you think?
That was it.
I can
Anyway,
see how
that was terrible.
it would
And let's
lose track of the lane, stop, and expect the
Move
driver
back
to
just
take
a little
over.
bit.
And maybe by the
And
time the
this
driver
again.
looked
Stop?
up, it
You
was
think
too
it
late.
would try to stop?
we can see
It
it again.
didn't
No,
try to
it
stop.
won't,
Do
it
it
won't
kind of
break,
at
but
a
I
little
mean,
bit higher speed
autopilot
this time.
would click off in order to expect the
As you
driver
can
to
see,
start steering, and
The
maybe he
system,
didn't
you
have
see,
time to
wouldn't recognize
react.
it would crash right.
Or the lane that he chose was too far away by that point.
Wait, so you think autopilot would turn off? Because I
Yeah.
think that Tesla said the only thing that happened was that the driver's hands weren't on the wheel, and that the system prompted the driver to touch the wheel and take over just because it normally does after a little bit of time, and the driver didn't. They didn't ever say in any of their press releases that autopilot detected that there was a problem and they were off course or anything like that.
So it didn't shut off. Autopilot was in still. It was still
Right. That's
engaged.
why I think that this theory was that autopilot thought that this was the lane. It was in it. All it was doing was prompting the driver to touch the wheel because that's what it always does after a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And it just went full speed right in that barrier because it looks like not much, but it doesn't recognize that it goes all the way back and it's solid concrete, and it doesn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's smart enough to know that because we found that in our own videos. It's not smart enough to know a lot of things. How would it know that?
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't distinguish the floor lamp from anything some of the time. It seems to see cars and it will see humans if they're life size with moving legs, but it apparently doesn't detect small obstacles like that. I'm just surprised that it thought that there were lines representing a lane that goes all the way into that object.
But do you think it was do you think it was the difference in the pavement?
That's probably a contributing factor.
Yeah, because Tesla didn't say that the system thought it was on the wrong course. They never said that at all.
Yeah.
They just said that the system, if I'm remembering this correctly, the system asked the driver to touch the wheel. That's all. So anyway, this is what I think happened. I think that maybe Tesla will explain this to people. I don't know. I don't think they're going to want to explain this to people because I think, as I mentioned, it's a beta system and it's not going to necessarily get these things right. It's not going to necessarily get pedestrians right in the road like we saw. It's not going to get a lot of things right. And it doesn't tell people exactly what it does and what it doesn't do. It just says it's beta and you're using it at your own risk, basically.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that they'll probably be able to figure out exactly what happened, and maybe they'll release what happened with the vehicle. I'll be curious to find out when they do that. Anything else you want to add?
No, that was just strange. I don't know if we'll ever have the final answer on that.
Yeah.
Just pay attention.
Yeah.